if I told you that the headlines we scroll through every day are more than just news? They're signs, warnings, maybe even prophecy in motion. Welcome to Countdown to Midnight, where we dissect the chaos of our times and ask, are we living through the end times or just another bump in history's road? Today, I'm diving deep into Armageddon, World War III anxieties, the current global landscape, and yes, Donald Trump's role in all this. Buckle up. We'll unravel terms like geopolitical escalation. That's just the world's version of a high-stakes chess game and apocalyptic rhetoric, which is like politicians turning up the volume on doom and gloom. Across 3 acts, history, prophecy, and present turmoil, I'll guide you through the signals, the speculation, and what it could all mean for us. Ready to confront what keeps us up at night? Let's rewind. Throughout history, people have believed their era was the last. Think back to the Cold War brinkmanship, with nuclear missiles just a button push away, or the Black Death sweeping Europe. Each age felt apocalyptic. Here's a technical term: existential risk. It's basically any threat that could wipe out humanity, like nuclear war or runaway pandemics. Sound familiar? You might be thinking, but this time it feels different. That's the conflict. Our hyper-connected world turns local scares into global panic overnight. The resolution? By studying past crises, we realize the line between fear and foresight is razor thin. Knowing history helps us spot cycles and, just maybe, break them. So before we declare the end, let's remember humans have survived Armageddon many times before. Ever heard someone quote Revelation or Daniel and say, "This is it, the end is near"? Apocalyptic prophecy is woven deep into our culture. The term eschatology refers to the study of end times. Imagine it as a giant jigsaw puzzle with missing pieces. Everyone's trying to finish the same picture, but nobody has the box cover. Now you might ask, are today's wars and disasters the fulfillment of prophecy, or are we reading too much into coincidence? Great question. From wars in the Middle East to global pandemics, it's tempting to label every event as a sign, but the challenge is decoding symbolism from literal fact. The wisdom here: prophecy can guide, inspire, or terrify, but it's how we interpret and act that shapes our future. World War III, those 3 words alone fuel anxiety and speculation. But are we really on the brink, or is this just another cycle of saber rattling? Let's talk mutually assured destruction. That's the logic of 2 armed camps, each knowing a first strike means obliteration for both sides. Picture 2 rival families holding lit dynamite. No one wants to move first. You might wonder, with so many hot spots, Ukraine, Taiwan, the Middle East, are we closer to global conflict than ever? The conflict here is the unpredictability of human decisions. Little sparks can ignite global flames, as history's taught us. Resolution comes from understanding both the risk and the leverage. Diplomacy, economic ties, and yes, public pressure matter more than we think. Look at today's news. U.S. and China trade barbs. Russia flexes military muscle, and Europe tries to hold the center. It feels like a powder keg, doesn't it? Here's the term proxy war. That's when big nations fight indirectly by backing smaller groups, like 2 kids arguing but sending their friends to do the fighting. Now you might say, if the world's so interconnected, wouldn't war destroy everyone's economy? That's the paradox. Trade can prevent conflict, but it also raises the stakes. The conflict. Each power wants dominance, but nobody can afford total war. That's a balancing act on a tightrope above a pit of consequences. The task is to watch for escalation triggers, sanctions, cyber attacks, military drills, and ask, are we leaning into confrontation or pulling back from the brink? Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Nuclear weapons. The very existence of nukes is like having matches in a fireworks factory. One mistake, and everything could go up in flames. Here's nuclear deterrence, the theory that if everyone's scared enough, no one will actually push the button. Think of it as a bizarre insurance policy paid in existential dread.
You might be asking, with tensions high, are safeguards enough? It's a fair concern. Accidents and miscalculations have come alarmingly close in the past.
The conflict is clear. The weapons meant to keep us safe are also the greatest threat to our survival. Resolution, vigilance, diplomacy, and public advocacy, because the line between safety and disaster is thinner than we'd like to admit. Armageddon isn't just about missiles and armies anymore. It's about information. Today, wars are fought with memes, bots, and viral videos. Here's disinformation campaign. That's when false stories are spread to confuse or manipulate public opinion. Imagine a magician's trick that's designed to make you look the wrong way. Now you might wonder, can we even trust what we see online? That's the conflict. Our trust is under siege. The resolution. Critical thinking is our shield. Fact check, question, and be alert, because the battle for truth is raging 24/7. Let me tell you, the war for your mind might be the most important front in today's global struggle. Now let's address the elephant in the American living room, Donald Trump. His return to the political scene throws gasoline on already simmering fires. Here's populism. That's when leaders claim to represent ordinary people against elites. Think of it like a coach promising the underdogs a shot at the big game. You might ask, will Trump's policies bring stability or chaos? That's the million-dollar question, and the world is watching closely. The conflict is Trump's ability to polarize, energize, and disrupt at home and abroad. Allies are jittery, adversaries are recalculating. What's the resolution? The impact depends on checks, balances, and public engagement. Every citizen has a role in steering the ship. America's not just facing threats from outside. Internal divisions are just as dangerous. Protest, polarization, and deep mistrust set the stage for upheaval. Civil discord. That's a technical term for when disagreements go beyond debate and spill into action. Imagine a family feud that turns into a food fight at Thanksgiving. You might say, is the U.S. tearing itself apart from within? It's a sobering thought, because when a superpower stumbles, the world feels it. The conflict. Unity is hard to rebuild once broken. Every tweet and protest sign becomes part of the battle. Resolution, finding common ground, one conversation at a time. America's ability to heal is a litmus test for the whole world. If you want a preview of potential apocalypse, look to the Middle East. Ancient hatreds, modern weapons, and religious fervor make it a permanent powder keg. The term sectarian conflict describes wars fought along religious lines. Imagine rival teams who've been fighting for generations with no referee in sight. Now you might wonder, are these regional wars destined to draw on the whole world? It's happened before, and the risk is always there. The conflict. Alliances are complicated, and local battles can quickly become global crises. Resolution, diplomatic efforts, humanitarian aid, and careful coalition building, because every spark matters. Globally, democracy is under threat. From sham elections to surveillance states, authoritarianism has made a comeback. Surveillance capitalism is the practice of collecting massive amounts of personal data for control. Imagine if your every move was watched and scored like a never-ending reality show. You might ask, can democracy survive in a world where freedom is fragile? That's a real and present danger. The conflict is between control and liberty, fear and hope, submission and resistance, resolution. The defense of rights happens at every ballot box and smartphone screen. We choose the future with every click and vote. Armageddon isn't just about bombs, it's also about plagues and climate catastrophe. COVID-19 shook the world, but it's just a taste of what's possible. Systems collapse is a technical term for when infrastructure crumbles. Imagine if your city's power, food, and water all failed at once. You might wonder, could environmental and health crises trigger war? History says yes, scarcity breeds conflict. The conflict. We face not one, but many existential threats, each compounding the others. Resolution, preparedness, global cooperation, and innovation. Our best defense is to see these threats coming and act together. It's easy to get lost in doom scrolling, but history is also full of hope. Communities come together, leaders rise to the occasion, and new solutions emerge from the ashes.
Consider social capital. That's the trust and teamwork that builds strong societies, like neighbors helping each other after a storm.
Now, you might be thinking, does my small action even matter? The answer, absolutely. Every act of courage and compassion counters the darkness. The conflict is the struggle to stay hopeful in the face of despair, but that's the fight that counts most. Resolution. Remember, every generation has faced the abyss, and every time ordinary people found a way forward. So, after all this, what do we walk away with? 1, history repeats, but never exactly. 2, prophecy inspires, but we shape what comes next. 3, the greatest threats are often the ones we allow to grow unchecked.
Here's your concrete step. Pick one global issue. Learn the facts and have a real conversation with someone who disagrees. It's a small spark, but change always starts with dialogue.
You might ask, will tomorrow's headlines be better or worse? That's the cliffhanger. The outcome depends on us. Next episode, we'll spotlight the architects of peace negotiators, activists, and unsung heroes rewriting the future. Don't miss it. And if you feel the weight of the world, remember, we face the end times together, but we also build tomorrow together. Subscribe, share, and keep questioning. Our countdown continues.